Kurt, I don't know if you've had time yet. I know you will before the game, but to watch the Broncos-Phillies game. And I am really curious to get your thoughts on it from a quarterback perspective. When you've got a guy who struggles relatively big time for 3 straight quarters, but then comes out in the fourth quarter and is lights out, what does that mean to you? I mean, does it give you anything in the bigger picture in terms of confidence in a guy? Is that a good game or not?
Well, I mean, I think the bottom line is, having played the game as much as I did and have, watching the game and analyzing the game, it doesn't matter how good you are. You're going to have, moments. You're going to have games. You're going to have halves where you're not good, where you don't play your best, where you're not feeling it and you're not seeing it and those things. And when you have those games, the best thing is when you can find ways to win anyways. And so, when you have a quarterback that, like you said, can struggle or not do anything for a couple quarters, but they can find a way, and especially, in that game against a really good team, find a way to get a win in a tough environment, it does give you confidence because, most guys, in this league that if they don't play a good game, you're not going to win. But if you've got a guy that can, figure that out, make a few of the plays, make the critical plays that you need to win a football game, I think it just elevates the confidence that you have in that guy to know he's going to find a way to get it done. Some games he's going to be great. Some games he's not going to be as good, but he's still going to be a guy that can make enough plays to give us a chance to win in those moments. And I think that's the kind of guy you want because that guy's not going to play 17 great games. It's just not going to happen. Doesn't matter who you are. It's not going to happen. So in the games you don't play your best, what are you able to do from a leadership standpoint? What are you able to do from a playmaking standpoint to give our team a chance?
Hey, talk to us from the quarterback position in particular. And listen, it's always been an important position, maybe the most on the team. But it seems like now, if you don't have a good quarterback, your chances of winning on any Sunday is limited. That being said, when you're in one of those games where I just feel like I'm late on my decisions, or I'm late on what I'm seeing, or I'm not seeing. How did you kind of talk yourself back into the confidence mode that you need to go forward?
Yeah, I mean, I'm different than a lot of guys that, play now because I think the fallback for a lot of these guys now is if I'm not seeing it, I'm going to just take off and create. I'm going to run. I'm going to get in, outside the pocket where I don't have to play in structure and I can play more backyard football. And whether that's running or whether that's, making a throw on the run because I'm getting out there and I don't have to see a defense. I'm just looking to see, is that guy open? Can I throw it to him? And so I think a lot of the guys fall back now is that. I'm sure it's a catch-22 because you get used to doing that. And then when you actually should play in structure, when you need to play in structure, you're not as comfortable with it. For me, I was a guy that had to play in structure. I couldn't do that creating stuff. And so for me, it was always going back to the basics, is that I knew how to play the game. I knew how to see the field. And there were times where it wasn't as clear or the game seemed to be moving faster. But I would always tell myself, trust your eyes. The one thing I did was process information. Trust your eyes. Get back to the basics. When this guy's your read, focus in on that guy, and so that would help to kind of slow it down and allow me to, again, I'll just say, muddle through some of those games where I wasn't seeing it as clearly. I could still get back to the basics for me, and those were the things that would carry me and give me a chance in those moments.
Kurt, Sean Payton was not shy before the season, just hyping up this team. Talked about him as one of 7 teams he's ever coached that he thought could win a Super Bowl. And, it was a little bit of a slow start, but here the Broncos are. They beat Philadelphia. The schedule's about to ease up for them big time as they've got the Jets and the Giants. And then who do we got after that again? Why am I drawing a blank? Cowboys, right? Three winnable games. What are your thoughts on this Broncos team as a whole in terms of how they stack up in the NFL?
I like them. Obviously, we know they have a good defense. I'm not sure they're a great defense yet, because we're still seeing some of those moments where teams are able to, move the ball and have success. They're not like a shutdown defense, but they're, by far a winning defense, and one of the top defenses in the league. I think they've done a better job running the football this year, and so bringing that balance. But you mentioned it earlier. bottom line to be a contender in this league is you got to have that quarterback that, can play at that top level. And I think Bo's still got to make some strides there. I thought at the end of last year, he got better as a quarterback. But this year, I feel like he's playing really impatient. And so I see him drop back and kind of look at one guy, and then he wants to move. And he wants to move really, really fast. And kind of what I was talking about earlier is just feels like he wants to play on the move all the time, whether that's running or making throws on the move. And even when there's things that are coming and opportunities there, I think that's a hard world to live in, especially as you get down the stretch and you get into the playoffs and you're competing against really good teams. You got to play the position, and you got to be comfortable and more poised there. And so that's the step that I think, if this team's really going to compete come playoff time, I think it's going to hinge a lot on Bo being able to slow the game down, being able to process and play, more conventional football more of the time. And again, I don't want to take that away because he makes a lot of plays with his feet and he can throw really well on the run. But, you're going to have to play a little bit more in structure. And so I'm looking for that step to be made somewhere here, throughout the season. If I believe this team, good team, going to be in the playoffs, in my opinion, probably compete in the division. But if they're going to really make a run, I think he's got to get, better at doing some of those things.
Hey, I'd like to speak real fast to all the kids out there that are new to the program and have them go on YouTube and look up The Greatest Show on Turf. You were part of that.
Who needs to run the ball?
Well,
Forget us.
Kurt's got gray hair going on the side right now, and he had dark hair back then. That being said, Marshall Falk is like the running backs coach right up the street.
Yeah, that's true.
Have you ever talked to him about how that is and what kind of coach you think Marshall Falk can be?
I mean, I've talked to him a little bit, and I think Marshall, has the struggles that a lot of guys that played at the highest level have. And, like Marshall was, one of the smartest football players I was ever around. And so, the ability to do and see and understand what he understands, I think is always a challenge when – you're trying to teach it to other people that play your position, right? It's like, well, just do this or do that. Like, like it's easy for you. It's not easy for everyone else. So I think that's one of the challenges. And then I think the other challenge is just understanding offensive football the way that he does, when you're around other coaches that don't understand that either. And so it's, being able to teach coaches and being able to teach players and, have this desire to want to help and impart everything that you can to these guys, but not everybody can handle and understand what you're teaching. And so I just think, he loves the coaching, and I think he's going to be a phenomenal coach. And, as far as he wants to go, I think he will go because he is that kind of, he prepares that way. He thinks that way. He understands the game. He's great with people. But I just think that's the early challenge that you have, and I've noticed it in different people that I work with. Like, just do this, and here, put in this play. Doesn't this play make sense? Like, this is what I would do. And they look at you like you got two heads. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what? How does that make sense? Like, what are you going to do in this? And so it just takes that patience to be able to understand. Okay, what you do and how you think and see the game is rare and different. And now you've got to figure out, how do I take as much of that as possible and impart that on other coaches and other players to help them become the best version, to give them as much as my knowledge as I can, but not overwhelming them to the point where I'm asking them to do something that they just can't feasibly do. And I think that's the challenge and the balance and the fun part of, of coaching and doing those things. But he's enjoying it, loving the process, but I think there's some challenges there.
All right, Kurt Warner, you're so generous with your time. We're so grateful. Couple of quick ones. We're obviously hearing about this Joe Flacco news being traded to Cincinnati, and we have a biased interest here, Kurt, of course, with Shadur Sanders. We love Shadur and want to see the best for him.
Yep.
What are your thoughts about Shadur? And do you think he'll get a shot? You think he's ready?
I'm not sure he's ready right now. Sorry, guys. I'm not sure he's ready right now. but I mean, I think he's shown enough with what he did in college and the way that he played and all of that, that I do think he will get a shot, when that shot comes. And what he's shown in Cleveland up to this point, I don't have the answers to those things. I think there's some things that he's got to improve on, his ability to process a little faster, get the ball out of his hands, not try to, do some of the things where he makes a play on every drop back. Sometimes he's got to give up on a play.
Mm-hmm.
Footwork, cleaning up some of that stuff. So I think there's room to grow. But, yeah, I mean, there's a reason he's in a training camp. And I believe there will be a time that he gets his opportunity to show that he can play football. And what's he do with that opportunity? So that's, I like him. I like his game. I thought, like most people, that he was definitely a lot better than a fifth-round draft pick with what he had done in college. And so I believe that time will come. It's just a matter of when it comes. And then those things that I talked about, can he work through some of those things or get better in the meantime, so when that opportunity comes, he can put his best foot forward and, show where he's grown and then, maybe take a job and run with it.
All right, last one. We'll let you.
I got a personal one.
A personal. I do too. I have a personal one as well.
Kurt,
two personal ones.
Who's bigger, you or Zachary Levy?
He's a little taller, but I'm bigger, if that makes sense. But he's a little taller.
Okay. Well, no, because I thought you looked good. I'm saying because I found American Underdog.
Well, I was going to ask about American Underdog too.
This summer, I thought it was fantastic.
Okay.
I loved it.
Thank you.
A movie
Thank
about
you. I thought they did a great job with it and really showing the story. And I think that's the cool thing is that, everybody always asks you, well, is that based on, is that true? And, everything in the movie was based on real life and, real life events that happened. And I thought they did a great job of kind of weaving in my story and my son's story and my wife's story and all of our underdog stories. So I appreciate you guys saying that.
I was actually going to ask, how long can you watch a movie about yourself? Like, how long can you hang in there and actually watch a movie about? Can you watch the whole thing? Does it get a little embarrassing after about a minute or so? I mean, how long are you good for it?
You're right. You got to kind of watch it a number of times during the process to make sure that they get it right.
Yeah.
But since that time, I don't think I've watched it at all.
Right.
Because it is. It's kind of like, it's kind of cool, but then it's kind of like awkward too. Like, this is about me. Like, I don't know. I got kind of just leave that out there for other people and talk about it more than I actually watch it. As cool and humbling and honoring as it is that, somebody felt they could make a movie and impact people. It is. I'm with you. It is kind of awkward, kind of looking around like, oh, geez.
It's cool to watch a movie that you can sit down and watch with your kids, though. So good job. Well done.
Yeah. Maybe get some popcorn during that.
That part was cool. That I think my kids have heard the story so many times,
right,
but never really understood, the background and the story and the things that we had been through. And so I think that was probably the coolest part of the movie in general was our kids coming to us after they watched it, and they're like, wow, we got a greater appreciation for you guys and what you've been through now than we ever did, because, most of my kids who just kind of grew up in the midst of it, and the story was there, but didn't really understand it. So that was really a cool aspect of it, was to watch our kids watch the movie and see the impact that it had on them.
Well, we should ask, what's a better movie, American Underdog or Home Team, about Sean Payton? Because he's got a movie about
American
him.
Underdog.
He's got that going. All right, hey Kurt, we'll let you go, my friend. Thank you so much for being on with us. All right, there you go, Kurt Warner.